This conference is brought to you by Callstack, your React and React Native development experts.
I mean, there are so many of you there. I didn't expect that, to be honest. Yeah, so, Rozenite. I'm curious. Have you ever heard about Rozenite? Could you maybe? Okay. Couple of people. That's not bad. Did you like working with Rozenite, or you just heard about it? Anyone? Okay, there's one person. Second. Okay, 3, 4. Okay, so my plan for today is to make this number go higher and higher for everyone there to try Rozenite and tell me afterwards. I will be there stuck around Callstack venue, Callstack area. So you can come to me and say if it's good or not. But before we dive into Rozenite itself, of course, I need to tell a couple of words about myself. So this is me. I'm a senior software engineer at Callstack. Technically, I started my career as a web developer, but then I turned mobile. I like sharing knowledge as a public speaker, so I think I already did it over 40 times. So yeah, I'm also hosting a meetup locally in Toruń, Poland, because I'm not from Wrocław, I'm from Toruń, the city, the capital, Polish capital of gingerbread, and the home of Nicolaus Copernicus. And last but not least, I am member of Microsoft MVP program in web development. So if you have any questions about web, you can also ask me them. Alrighty. So let's start with a simple story. Let's imagine you are driving your dream car. Porsche, Mercedes, BMW. Well, I'm driving Cupra, so let's say my dream car is Cupra Formentor, so I'm driving Cupra Formentor. Weather is great. Sun is shining, birds are singing. It's cool, right? But then, at some point, you start to hear some weird noise coming out from the engine, probably. And then after a second or two, the power is gone. So what do? You stop your car, you pop the hood, and you start poking around the engine. Oh, maybe this is, I know, oil pressure. Or maybe this is, I know, air pressure, something else. I'm not a car person. But yeah, basically, you are going around trying to find the reason, but you don't have any clue what's going on. So afterwards, you take your car to some garage, some mechanic, and this guy gets a diagnostic scanner. It connects it to the vehicle via OBD interface, and then looks at it and, oh, okay, so this is it. Basically, the scanner and the vehicle itself is giving clues about what's going on. And we as software developers are often in the same place. We need to use some additional tools to gain insights about the application itself, about libraries, about everything that's going on in the application itself. And in the past, we had Flipper. And the experience wasn't the best. We can all agree on that. But the clue here is that with Flipper, we could add custom plugins. So we could not only inspect network traffic, but also, for example, Redux state, or maybe some our internal state in the app. But fortunately or unfortunately, it depends, Flipper is gone. And we have React Native DevTools, and they are great because they are stable, they are reliable, they are super handy. But the problem is that plugins are gone now. So we are back at this. We are using console logs. We are putting console logs everywhere. And let's say we have TanStack Query in our app. So then we have cache. So we are trying to console log something from the cache, but it's cached. Sometimes it's not even executed. So we are back at this. And this is not great. It's wasting time. And we should have something some better developer experience. And this gets me to Rozenite, which is basically, I would say, such a diagnostic scanner, or maybe more of a way to show additional data, additional plugins in your local React Native DevTools. So you don't need to install anything new. You have the same window, the same experience, but with some additional perks. And the idea for Rozenite was, well, born, I would say, a year ago. Because a year ago, fun fact, at this very stage, the Alex Hunt showed this particular slide, saying that third-party plugins are coming to React Native DevTools at some point. Unfortunately, we are not there yet. We will be at some point. But Rozenite is here to fill this gap for the time being, so to allow you to install plugins and to use, for example, Redux DevTools. All right, so Rozenite. 6 characteristics of Rozenite. A, it's a framework for building your custom plugins and loading them. So you don't necessarily need to build plugins to use Rozenite. You can technically just install plugins created by others. Rozenite auto-discovers installed plugins. So it works kind of like, for example, auto-discovery or auto-linking. It basically goes through your node modules, looks for Rozenite plugins, and then automatically installs them and runs them. And the thing that you can install plugins from NPM makes it super easy, because you don't need to download any packages from some random website, holding your fingers that it's not something malicious, for example. You basically install an NPM package, and that's it. You have some custom tool embedded into your React Native DevTools. And Rozenite is built with TypeScript, you well know, with React, you also well know, and it provides type-safe messaging, so you don't need to worry that, for example, you will skip some property on one side, for example, in React DevTools and React Native itself. And of course, Rozenite itself isn't that useful, because it's basically a tool. What makes Rozenite great is that it comes with some predefined set of plugins, and we will talk about them in a minute. And last but not least, React Native CLI, Expo, Metro, Repack, everything is supported by Rozenite. So it doesn't matter what you use to build your app. You can still install Rozenite and use it. And now it sounds super complex. Okay, so if I'm using Expo, I need to do something different. If I'm using React Native CLI, I need to do something different. The same comes with Metro and Repack. No. There is a single command you can run, Rozenite init, which will analyze your project, looking for clues. If it's Expo, is it React Native CLI, is it Metro, is it Repack? It will automatically update the configuration. It will automatically install all necessary packages. And then the next time you run React Native DevTools, you will see this beautiful screen saying that Rozenite is loaded successfully. So now we can go to plugin directory and install plugins. And now, let's see plugins. TanStack Query. Everyone knows what TanStack is, what TanStack Query is. So now you can use TanStack Query DevTools inside your React Native DevTools with all the beauty of it. You can trigger loading states. You can trigger error states. You can reset queries. You can inspect query cache data. You can inspect query parameters. You can do everything you could do on web. Redux DevTools, also super useful. This one comes with some limited functionality because of a bug in the upstream repository. I will investigate next week. But technically, it's still usable. I mean, you can see actions happen. You can see the state. So yeah, great. Another great tool in the toolset. Then we have performance monitor, something maybe less useful, but still a neat functionality. So if you use performance API, performance.mark, measure, I think there's the third one, mark metrics and measure, yeah. So if you call this, usually you need to kind of serialize the data yourself, save it somewhere, or send it somewhere for analysis. With this plugin, you see all the metrics, all the measures happening in the real time. And then, of course, you can export data if you want for further analysis. Then we have network activity, and this one is super, super important. And I would say this is the most popular one currently, because everyone is asking, oh, could you add maybe something new to network activity monitor? And that's why I have some more slides about this one, so we will get back to it later. And last but not least, Expo Atlas, which is basically, I would say, a POC on my side of implementing a Rozenite plugin, not only using DevTools UI, React Native, but also Metro. So now you can kind of communicate with all the parties and, for example, create plugins like this. So when it comes to installing plugins, like I said, you install a plugin from npm as a package. You need to do some minor code changes. Okay, that's on me. So it's not like automatic, fully automatic. You need to do some changes. And then when you run Metro, you can just open React Native DevTools, and you will see the new network tab. And why this is great? Because now you can look all the headers of request headers and response headers. You can also see responses. If a response is a JSON body, you can then interact with it. The same goes to request bodies. So if you send some data via post method, you can inspect it just like that. It supports HTTP, it supports WebSockets, and it supports server-side events. So you have, well, all you need to inspect all the traffic coming out of your device. And of course, there's basic filtering, so you can go through your requests and filter them by name, by type. It's up to you. But Rozenite isn't only about, well, using plugins. Rozenite is also about building them. And why it's important? Because sometimes we have cases in our own companies, in our own projects, that we want to expose something outside of the app for the developers to see. So for example, I can imagine that you have some analytics involved in your application. So you want to see the events coming out from your device. You can have some state machines, for example, XState, and you want to see those state machines, all the transitions, so you can debug problems with some weird logic. Of course, the same applies to caches. TanStack Query is the example. The same applies to feature flags, because, well, we all, I guess, use feature flags, and we, for example, want to change their values during debugging. So technically, you can build a Rozenite plugin to do that. And the same goes for remote configuration. So if you get some JSON from a remote service, which then reconfigures your application internally, you can see it Rozenite. But how Rozenite works? And of course, I won't go into the code itself. I won't show you exactly the lines responsible for everything happening. But you need to know that when you run React Native DevTools, you are not running some new application. No. You're running your browser. And this is the starting point. So if it's a browser, then React Native DevTools is a web app. And if it's web app, we can modify it. And that's true. React Native DevTools, the UI itself, is available in GitHub repository, plus it's distributed as an NPM package. And the next finding is that Metro serves HTML and JavaScript bundle to the browser. Okay, so this is the point. This is the thing. Now we can do something like this. So now Rozenite is in between, is acting as a man in the middle. So now Rozenite knows that browser is asking for a particular file. And we know that this file, I can inject into this file some custom JavaScript. And that's exactly what's happening. So thanks to that, I can access all the things, maybe not all the things, but all the things I need for custom plugins. For example, I can reuse existing connection between UI and React Native. And this is super cool because if Rozenite plugins use the same connection, it means that if I have multiple devices running at the same time and multiple sessions running at the same time, Rozenite plugins will use use this session and connect and exchange messages with particular device. So there will be no things like, for example, you are debugging one device, but messages are going to the second for some reason. No, it will work just like React Native DevTools work. And Rozenite plugins use React, no surprises, and they are rendered inside of an iframe. And if you don't know what iframe is, it's like subpage, subcontext inside of a parent web page. So if something goes wrong, if Rozenite plugin crashes, for example, it will not crash the whole experience. It will crash only the iframe itself. So you are safe, you are stable, the DevTools are stable, so you don't need to worry about some issues. Okie dokie. A colleague of mine posted this X post on his profile, saying that, okay, there's some app you can use to implement designs in pixel-perfect way. So you can display a grid overlay, you can display image overlay. And I was like, I can do that in Rozenite. And I did. So now, let's see how I did it. Rozenite plugin is basically composed of 2 or 3 components. It's the bundle for DevTools UI using React. It's React Native integration, so it's some code you will use to, for example, send messages to React Native UI, and then the optional part, the Metro integration. So when you want to start creating a new Rozenite plugin, again, I got recovered with Rozenite generate command, which will basically ask you about a couple of details, and then it will bootstrap your whole project. And starting from this point, you can basically navigate to this directory and start implementing stuff. So that's what I did. The main integration point is this use Rozenite DevTools client hook, which basically gives you access to the client, sending messages back and forth via CDP. And then it's piece of cake to implement your features. Basically, on the right side, you see the code rendered in React Native. So there's some internal state being updated after certain messages are received from the DevTools UI. And then at the end, you will see there's a grid overlay, ternary, rendering this component if some state is true. And after that, the only thing you have to do is basically, again, use Rozenite CLI to build the whole thing. So it will build panels, the thing you see in the DevTools UI. It will build React Native part. It will build Metro part if you have it. And then you are ready to load this thing up in your React Native DevTools. Ta-da! We have it. We have something, well, in this case, maybe it's not that useful at this point because it's super basic, but it shows that with Rozenite, you can build really, really cool stuff. Because this is something I built in an hour or 2. So imagine what can be built if you spend some more time on it. So, yay. Yeah, so we did it, or I did it. But the question is, what community thinks about Rozenite? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it useful? Is it a piece of never mind. Well, it turns out it's good. I would say more. There are companies around the world using Rozenite in their day-to-day work. They like network activity plugin, of course, because this is the most popular. But there are companies also building their own internal plugins to expose certain internal states of their apps to React Native DevTools. So this is something really, really cool. You can basically, well, it's hard to imagine what you couldn't do with Rozenite plugin. And the developer experience of plugin developers is also great. They're saying like, wow, it's super cool because I need to only generate the project, implement something there and there, use AI to basically bootstrap the UI. This is the reality. And then, voila, that's it. It's ready. And currently, Rozenite is using alpha releases because, well, doing something like this isn't, well, there are so many moving parts, it's expected to fail. Because, for example, you can have React Native CLI, but you can have Expo installed, so you can use Expo modules. And then you can have multiple instances of the same packages installed. And there were so many issues reported that, OK, I have this special case that I need React Native CLI and React Native 0.79, and it doesn't work. OK, could you list your packages with npm list? And I go through the list, and OK, React Native 0.79, and then 0.80. How? No idea, but I need it. So yeah, there are many, many lines in Rozenite just trying to cover all possible edge cases and combinations. But alpha releases are like saying it's not stable, maybe don't use it in production environment, maybe wait. So that's why I decided that starting from the next week, after the last changes will be merged to develop, we will have Rozenite 1.0 to tell people that Rozenite is ready to be used in your day-to-day work in all kinds of applications. So yeah, we will have Rozenite 1.0 next week. Come on, come on. Yeah, so if you don't know where to find Rozenite, this is the QR code. But the page is rozenite.dev, so it's super simple to remember. And I invite you to join the Discord channel for Rozenite on Callstack Discord server, because I'm there and I like to hear more about your problems, your feedback, or maybe your ideas for new plugins. There are already people that are building their own plugins. There is somebody building async storage plugin, for example. So yeah, join me, and well, let's make React Native DevTools great again, I would say. Okay, Rozenite, framework for building custom plugins you can then inject into React Native DevTools. It auto-discovers installed plugins. It's easy to install with Rozenite init command. It's built with TypeScript, React, and type-safe messaging. It comes with a set of official plugins, with TanStack Query, with Redux DevTools, with network activity, with performance monitor, and with more and more coming soon. And it works with React CLI, Expo, Metro, and Repack. That's it. So thank you very much. And I hope Rozenite will make your lives better in the future. Thank you.